I think you guys all know most of this stuff, but I've seen some practices, especially at Ron's shop, that scare the shit out of me. Okay? So we're going to go over this, and I've seen even our president, wherever he is.
He's up in the ring.
Okay. You know, with doing things that are dangerous to him. Even today I saw. So, okay. First tool, we're going to just go over the 5 basic tools that everybody gets when they first start turning. Okay. And they are, I'm going to come back to this. All right? If I can figure this out. All right. These are the 5 basic tools that come in a basic kit when you buy a lathe. All right? A spindle gouge looks like a 3/8 gouge, a skew, a round nose scraper, a parting tool, and it looks like maybe a 9/16 or 1/2 inch gouge. You can select whatever you want when you buy them. Okay? Those are the same. Those are the 5 tools that everybody starts out with usually. And I've been turning wood for 25 years. Now, that doesn't make me the best or even good, all right? But I am still using those same 5 tools. After getting all the fancy stuff and playing with the fancy stuff, you always come back to the same 5 tools to do most of what you want to do. You can buy fancy hollowers, fancy scrapers, cabinet scrapers, all kinds of stuff. But these tools will do everything that all those tools will do. And like I said, these tools are 25 years old. I don't use this one anymore. Okay? So, the first tool we're going to go over is going to be the spindle gouge. And I'm going to keep saying spindle gouge because they're not meant for faceplate turning or bowl turning or roughing a big blank out. All right? They're meant for turning wood 4 inches in diameter or less, or turning squares into rounds, but never faceplate or bowl turning, because most bowl turning is done on the side grain. Some bowl turning is done end grain. All right, but side grain wood goes from side grain to end grain to side grain to end grain, side grain to end grain, and these roughing gouges are not made for that. They'll snap off on you. All right. As an example, here's one that snapped off on me. All right? If you look at this small one, this is bent. All right? Now, no matter how big they are, they still are a problem with doing faceplate or bowl turning. If you look at this, are there any engineers? He's an engineer. How do they make this?
Electronic.
Oh, you're an electronic engineer? Yeah. All right, I'm a mechanical engineer. Let me just tell you how they make these. What they do is they forge this. They bend this first. They make this piece. They cut them into lengths, and then they grind these off to fit into this wood. All right? And if you look at this, it's common sense that that's going to be weak as hell right there. All right? These, pass that around. These should never be used, even though that's a big tool. They should never ever be used for bowl turning, because you could get lucky. I know Lee teaches how to use one of these safely and maybe not break it. But what happens is, the only safe way to use that is with the tool rest 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch away from the work. Now, as you're turning, that piece is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and that gouge is going further and further out on the tool rest, and a lot of people, they don't change it till it's about that far out. And all you need is one good knot or one good catch, and that son of a bitch is going to snap off on you. I have one of these, the one with the broken hit that's broken. I have that sticking in the wall of my shop, because what they'll do is they'll catch and they'll just take off this direction, and they'll hurt you really bad. At the Campbell School, there's one stuck in the ceiling at the Campbell School. And they leave it there because that's a teaching, they can teach with that up there. Right. All right, so everybody says, so now what's a safe gouge to use on, what's a safe roughing gouge to use on a bowl or a faceplate? This is the old style. All right? This is never going to break. you couldn't, this thing would, yeah, I don't know how you'd break it, all right? This is a roughing gouge, believe it or not. This is a roughing gouge. This is the old style, big, heavy roughing gouge that you can do faceplates with. But I haven't used this in probably 5 years. Because P&N, a tool company, and there's other tool companies that do the same thing, they make this one. And this one is made from round stock, turned and then machined. So all of the molecules are going this direction. So there's no weak, I mean, obviously that's weaker than this, but this is not going to break. This is going to bend. It's not going to break. And there are more than one company making this now. When I bought this, P&N Tools was the only one that made it. They didn't even make handles. They just made the tools. And this will not break. I mean, it'll break, but
About humanly impossible to break.
yeah, it's humanly impossible to break. All right.
You need a crane to hold it.
Well, that's because of the heavy handle.
Right.
I have a heavy handle on purpose. All right. So, where's the other big one? Right here. Since this piece is less than 4 inches, we're going to take the bark off with this piece, with this gouge.
If it's more than 4 inches, you're using one of those.
Yeah, well, the rule of thumb is spindle turning, you can use this. I say 4 inches because that's what they say, you know, but you could maybe go to 4.5, but you never want to use it, you always want to use it on side grain, where the grain is running the same direction as your lathe, because then you're just peeling it. The grain doesn't change directions on it.
What about when we made those big oaks that we made with? Yeah, what were you using for that?
The heavy
The P&N or this?
P&N.
P&N?
Yeah.
And I looked in Craft Supply catalog today, and they sell one now that is not as expensive as the P&N, but it's made the same way. You buy the tool and then you buy a handle to go with it. Okay? So another thing that I learned from Jack Bessery when I took his course, a lot of people don't think about it. You find yourself adjusting your tool rest up and down and up and down and up and down all the time. What you should do, I need the lights on. What you should do is find where you want the tool rest most of the time. And have more than one tool rest if you can. All right? And go get yourself a automobile hose clamp and put it around the post where you want it. And every time you put it in, it's going to be in the same place. All right? And it's a different place for everyone because everyone's a different height. You know, tools are different. There's no one size fits all, you know. I always say that I'm left-handed, so I'm very unorthodox. I'm an unorthodox turner for right-handers, but not for me, you know. And, you know, people will say, well, in fact, I'm surprised that, well, I'll answer the question before it's asked. What angle is that tool ground at? I don't know. I don't know what angle it's ground. It's ground at whatever works for me. All right? So, you know, that's all. I don't, you know, I know that there are gauges that you can buy and you do all this and that and the other, but I just, you know, I just grind it for whatever works for me. About 45. I'd say from 20 to about 75. How come this not working?
Spin.
On your
You better spin it.
Up and down.
Yeah.
Cherry.
Nylon, heavy-duty nylon washers.
Turn
They
it.
put a nylon,
Turn a piece.
Put a set screw in it,
Right.
and then put it under there. And
Right.
you get
Same distance, you just put a spacer in, it'll be there in the same.
spacer.
What?
Turn the piece first.
The way I set my tool rest is so that I can get the tool where I want to cut it, about the center line. But every tool is different, so you just adjust it to where you want it. Some people say, oh, you got to have the tool rest right on the center line, but then you're cutting above center, so anyway.
There you
Always
go.
spin your work before you turn the lathe on. Usually I wear a face shield and I forgot to bring it with me. So, all right. When you're turning a piece with bark on it, this bark is, a lot of bark is loose, right? It can fly off. So I took a workshop from John Jordan once, and he taught me what they do, which is good. When you're removing bark, instead of going all the way across like this,
Chip it.
all right, all the way across, when you come to the point where you've gone through somewhere, that whole flap of bark can come off and hit you in the face. And bark is harder than the wood that it's on, it'll cut you. So if you just take it off in sections, you won't get hit by the bark if it comes off. It'll be a small piece, not a big piece. And the roughing gouge is the only gouge that you can go either direction with and keep it turned the same way. Like for instance, you can go to the left, and you don't have to turn it back the other way to go back the other way. You can turn it back, you can turn the other direction without turning the tool around. Every other gouge you want running, every other gouge you want to travel to be in the direction of the flute. All right? In other words, so if you're going to go to the left, you want the flute to be pointed towards the left. If you want to go to the right, you want the flute to be pointed towards the right. Otherwise, you're going to get a big catch or you're not going to cut anything. Left-handed, so I guess I ought to cut right-handed, right? The thing about being left-handed is you're not in the line of fire for if the piece comes off the lathe, you're not standing here, you're standing over there. So that's a good thing about it. All right, so that's the roughing gouge. Easy enough, right? Okay. Put that on the thing. Where's the control that he gave you?
Just in front of the slide. There. Bring on the paper.
All right. The next tool we're gonna go over is the skew. This tool scares the hell out of a lot of people. But where is my skew? Is my skew over here? Brought it with me. I got it. Now, a lot of people use this as a reverse rake scraper, they call it. All right, if you're going to use it as a scraper, you want to put the tool rest below center, because anytime you're scraping on the outside of a piece, you should always scrape with any scraper below center, because if you get a catch, you're going from a fat part of the wood to a skinny part of the wood. If you have it above center and you get a catch, you're going from a thin part of the wood circle to the wide part of the circle, so you're going to have a great big catch. So if you use this as a scraper, use it below center as a scraper. Used as a skew, it's supposed to be used above center, because you're cutting, it's actually shearing off the fiber, not scraping. You can use it you can use it on center if you want. There's two things you use this for. All right? Use it to peel. And the great thing about a skew is when you're done, you have a surface equivalent to 220 sandpaper. You really don't need to do anything but maybe put a piece of 320 on, because it's shearing the fibers off as it goes by. It's used, let me put it up higher. You use it the way the older, I forget what they used to call them, they used to go from town to town in England making furniture. Yeah. They used to use a big wide skew and they put it right up on top of the wood and peel it. And you can do that also. I have a small skew. I can show you. Use it as a peeling cut. The thing about a skew is there is an angle on this. There's not much of it. The thing about a skew is the skew has got an angle on here. They're giant tools. Okay, when you're using a skew, when you're going away from the headstock, the long tip should be down. Okay, when you're going towards the headstock, the long tip should be up. Because if it's up, it does not interfere with the headstock or anything on this end. This way, away from the headstock, the long tip is down. All right. Now, some people say that you should use the long tip up all the time because it's safer that way. All right. Because you're not going to get a catch because of the heel, the angle on this heel right here. So, and these instructions say use the long tip up. The instructions that Marvin emailed everybody. All right? But I use it. I was taught by Mitch Wallach, and there was a guy in our club when Mitch Wallach was a member. He was a founding member. Another founding member was Ray Manning, and he was the skew king. He didn't need any other tool but a skew. All right? And he taught me to go long tip down away from the headstock, long tip up towards the headstock. Okay. So, and also, like I said, you can use it as a peeling cut also. The thing about a skew is, I keep forgetting I have this. Whichever direction you're going, you only want to use the bottom half that contacts the wood. You always want to use the bottom part of that blade. You never want to be cutting above center. All right. So when you're going long tip down this way, you only want to be using about the first third of the blade. Okay. When you're going this way, you only want to be using about the first third of the blade. Because if you go further up the blade, it's going to flip over and catch on you. Okay. So, long tip down, contact the wood, and then raise the handle. And then try to ride the bevel. If you take too big of cuts, the wood will push it back. You can't take great big cuts. I don't usually use it that high. I usually use it down here. Long tip down. And you can see that it's peeling the wood as much as it's cutting it. And if you feel this, it's just as smooth as a baby's ass. I mean, it really is. So it's really a good tool. All right, now let's go back this way. Let's put the long tip down. Up. And this way. Now I'm going to make it catch. Okay, I'm going to make it catch. It really tears the wood up. Sometimes it'll spiral its way up right up the wood. notice I put the tool against me, against myself, and I lean into it with my weight. So, anyway. No, where's my big, no, my big gouge. No. The one with the felt handle on it? Where'd it go? Anyway. This is my big bowl now.
Well, let's say it's not this one.
That's a good one. I use that one. I don't use that. It's not. All right. I don't have my bowl gouge, so I don't know what happened to it. It's here, man. Okay. One thing that you can do with a roughing gouge is you can shape with a roughing gouge too. All right. You can do almost as much with a roughing gouge as you can with a bowl gouge. What you want to do is, you get to the bottom of the cove, and you're turning, and just like a bowl gouge, you want to go up, you want to go down the other side of the cove. You don't want to go back up the other side. Because it'll catch going up the other side. And it'll give you as good a surface as a bowl gouge. Nice clean cut also, just like the skewer. If you sharpen them correctly. What? Just going to go back to the outline a little bit. How do you switch the swords, Mark? Bowl gouge is gone. You might have dropped it on the way in. That's possible. Off the computer one. No input. Yeah, there it is. All right. All right. You guys know all the parts of a roughing gouge? The handle, the blade, stuff like that.
Come on.
Okay, we got that. All right, on the roughing gouge, you want to start low. You want to start low, bring the handle up until you start to cut the wood, and you want to try to ride the bevel either direction. Works just like a bowl gouge, it's just bigger, that's all. Okay? Spindle gouges, they can be, I don't use that type of spindle gouge. I use the narrow channel spindle gouge and the narrow channel bowl gouge, all right? So those are, you can grind them any way you want. It looks like there's a fingernail grind on one. It just depends on what you want to do with it. The English use a gouge like that to hollow out bowls. And they leave the square tips on it. These wings will be way up here. It's almost a flat gouge. And I could never get anything like that to work for me. I grind the wings way back on my gouge.
I found it very aggressive.
They're very aggressive, and you can catch that corner and really destroy what you're working on. All right, and that's the same when you're working on it, handle down, raise it up until you contact the wood, until you start to cut, and then you ride the bevel, all right, as far as you can, all right, and always go downhill, don't go uphill, because when you're going downhill, you're cutting supported fiber. You're going uphill, you're not cutting supported fiber. All right, the standard bevel angle 45 degrees, I guess. I don't know, I don't measure it.
You know, I've been told you want it a little more blunt if you're doing hardwoods, and
Right.
softer where it's one of those sharper.
Yeah, it depends on, yeah, because you don't want a real aggressive gouge in hardwood because you get a big catch.
Yeah. You can chip
Yeah.
the edge of the blade off.
Right, right. And skews. A skew can be, this grind on this skew that we were using. This is a grind that was popularized by Richard Raffin. Richard Raffin is the one that invented this grind. Most skews are straight across, all right? And also, there's a lot of skews that are flat. This is an oval skew, which I find works better because you can turn it. When you're making beads, you can turn it. Whereas where a square one can catch on the corner, it can also, if you get a catch, it's going to really do a number on your tool rest, you know. So this is a square edge one. And a lot of very experienced turners use this, but I find that it marks up the tool rest.
But it seems like it doesn't slide as well.
And it won't slide as well. The oval one slides much better. I have 3. That's the smallest one I have. Like I said, I've had that one since I've been turning. That's a Robert Sorby.
Must be over Bob, so.
Yeah, it's Bob Sorby. This is a spindle gouge with a fingernail grind on it, or they also call it an Irish grind. I don't leave any, I grind my wings way back on all of my gouges, except for the roughing gouges. Because I find it's much easier for me to make coves and do all kinds of things in beads, all right? And you can make beads with either this tool or that skew. It takes a little bit more experience to do it with the skew because you can get a catch and kind of ruin what you're doing. Right. And I'll demonstrate this one. I'll switch the source again. Where's Marvin? Marvin! You got to switch the source again? I'm just going to do something real quick.
Huh? Yeah, 2.
Okay. With a detail gouge, you can, if you want to make a bead, or you want to, we'll make a cove, you start in with the tip, turn it towards the direction you want to go. This is a V cut, actually. Now, if you want to round over and make a bead, you start down the other side, and you roll the tool. And You can actually make a nice round bead with it. If you're not nervous. If I had as much experience as Lee giving demonstrations, I wouldn't be so nervous. You can make a nice bead with it, with this. Have you got the positions for people who are, position of that piece for people who are, well, what I do is I pin them down first and I bring it up until I start to cut. And usually it ends up horizontal. Where's my skew? Long tip down. Get the tip in and raise it up so you're cutting. And then you can actually roll the tool over as you're going down into the bottom of the cove, and you can make a nice bead that way also. I know also with a skew you can make bead cuts. So raise the handle, get the tip in, long tip down. And what I like best about the skew is you can, if you have got some torn fiber on the end of your end grain piece, you can take the skew. Now that's torn grain now. You can take the skew, long tip down, and you can clean the end up with the skew. You start above center, and you push it toward the center of the wood. No, doesn't need it. Well, you could put a piece of 320 on it. Yeah. Yeah, and if you have a bigger skew, it works a lot easier. I make my tenons with this, and I'll send it around later. I grind this edge and this edge at the same angle. Right?
Yeah,
So
well,
I can cut with this edge and this edge at the same time. I do that so that I can make a nice square tenon. I'm cleaning up the end grain with this edge, and I'm cutting into the side grain with this edge. Just cut it at the same angle, about the same thickness as you have here. It works great. And then, again, this is the tool that I've had for 25 years. You know, and if you don't over sharpen your tools, they'll last for a long time. You know, you get guys that, you know, they're taking a quarter inch of steel off every time they sharpen.
Yeah, sharpening is touching of the
That's right. Like I said, 25 years, and I bet you this is not more than maybe a quarter inch shorter than when I bought it. Another thing that I do to my round nose scrapers, and I didn't do it to this one, is I put a double bevel on it. Not on this one. A double bevel so that the heel never gets in the way. All right? If you start high, sometimes that heel will get in the way. So I will put the primary bevel on it, then I'll touch it, then I'll go over it and knock this heel off. And that way it's always clear of the wood. It's never in your way. Like I said, this is a scraper I bought when I had my first $250 lathe. I use it to make tenons with. Done. And the thing about a tenon is a lot of people that I noticed that are not turners that have been turning for a long time, they don't realize that most chucks are almost exactly a half an inch. The depth of the jaws are almost a half an inch. And I've seen it, I think I saw Frank do it once, where his piece wouldn't fit in the chuck. And it wouldn't fit in the chuck. I don't think it was you, I think it was Bud Hall. It wouldn't fit in the chuck, and he didn't know why. And it was because it was bottoming out on the bottom of on the inside bottom of the chuck. And where it's supposed to grip is right here. Here and on the shoulder. This should never touch the bottom of the chuck. Because you can't measure close enough to get them exact to where they both touch at the same time. So you always make this shorter than the depth of your chuck. And there's the leverage point up here. It's much safer that way than trying to get it the other way. So, it's a round nose scraper, again an old tool. Start down low. This is ground very aggressively. Just raise it up. And you can clean these edges up with a gouge or a skew, no problem. You can even clean the edges up with this if you really want to. You can use almost any tool as a skew, by the way, just by presenting the edge, by turning the tool up on its edge and presenting it to the wood at an angle. Any tool can be used as a skew, almost. Now, the parting tool.
Hey, Jerry,
Yeah.
now back to the skew. It's very important that both edges, corners, be sharp.
Oh yeah, you got
And
to
have
get
them rounded over a little bit or chipped.
even if you use this grind, these tips have got to be perfect. Yeah, because that's where your shearing takes place, is right here from about here to about here. And on this end from about here. And you never want to get up to the center because it's going to flip over on you and scare the hell out of you.
I've tried a few times and I took the close look and I go, that corner's been rounded over the,
Yeah.
and it's
It
not
won't work.
working.
It
In
won't
fact,
work.
the grinder fixed it.
That's right. Now this is a diamond parting tool. I got this with my first lathe. Difference is the edges are tapered. That way, when you stick it into the wood, it clears the shavings much faster than a square one like this. You stick this in, and you can get shavings that bind all up, and so that's why I use that. Here's my other. I don't hardly use this one anymore. I use this one. This is another Robert Sorby. All right. This is. I think you use this one, don't you, Lee? Yeah, it's tapered so that when you cut with it, it clears the shavings just like this one. All right, but you're cutting with the bottom edge, but to me, it's a lot more efficient than this. Huh?
Oh, that nasty one. I had a diamond parting tool that somebody came over. I got it away from them. The bottom and the top come to a sharp edge.
Yeah.
And then the two flutes on the side were tilted on a
Yeah.
severe angle.
Yeah.
It was just-
Another thing too is you can modify the tools to suit you, you know. I've seen people use this, grind this edge off right here, and then turn it over and use it like this, which is strange, but the way you use a parting tool is start with the handle low, and you're going to be coming in above center. When you present it to the wood, you slowly raise it up. And then as my mentor, Mitch Wallach, said, what you do is you then point it right towards the center of the wood. Like I said, this one clears the shavings as it cuts. This one will do the same thing. Low. I don't like the cutting tip up that high, so I like down there. Always keep your hand right up against the tool rest. All right? And as you can see, I'm not doing it with my arm. Okay? I'm doing it. It's up against my body, and I'm leaning into it. And as I push it in, I point the point right towards the center of the wood. Because what you're doing then is you're peeling it. You're not just scraping it. If you start that way, you're actually peeling on an end grain piece. You're peeling the fiber off instead of scraping it. I'll demonstrate this. It's a big bowl gouge, but it's actually a roughing gouge. Flute in the direction you want to cut. And this is great for hogging out wood. As I said, even the big tools can be used to work in the wood. Now that's taking a knife and cutting it off. Now I went up the other side, as we should do. Down to the bottom, stop, and then come in the other way. And that too, little. This is why you shouldn't turn with sandals on. Because most of the time the tool comes down just like that. And I can tell you, if this tool hits you in the toe, it would do some damage. So, let's go over this. Where's Ron? See here? Huh? What are you not supposed to do with this tool? I wish your wife was here. Because she listens. You're not supposed to use this as a bowl roughing gouge. Not supposed to use this. You bought a nice lathe. Now buy a good one. Buy a good roughing. So you won't hurt yourself, that's all. This is the typical grind on a regular bowl gouge. And I don't know where this guy was coming off because one of these flutes is higher than the other. This is a typical bowl gouge grind. All right? This is a typical spindle gouge or fingernail grind. All right? And why we have two stages like this, I don't know, but obviously the radius, this is the typical round nose scraper.
The one in your left hand is the way they usually come from the factory.
From the factory, you think so?
So then we gotta grind the edges down.
Yeah, take the edges off. And this is a very non-aggressive. This will just scrape all day long, but it won't get you much. And like I said, this is the Richard Raffin type skew. All right. And this is the typical parting skew. Yeah. And there's a broken spindle gouge that I used on a big bowl.
On the outside?
Yeah, back when I didn't know I shouldn't do it.
Well, with Sig Schwartz, several years ago, he was using gouge with the same handle on the inside, and he got a cut and snapped it. And the first spin around that broken edge hit him right on his middle knuckle, put him to the bone right to the neck of the knuckle. And it's still stuck in that piece of wood. It went right down the center of his tendon. Didn't cut the tendon, but it
Well,
lit it open.
you know, I said this before, because you had an injury too on your finger 2 months ago, right? I cut this finger off, all right here. The only thing that was left on this holding the finger on was the skin on this side. And you can see how small it is, because that's how much meat they had to take out of it to get it back on. I went to the hospital, and I told the doctor, he says, you know, they called the hand surgeon in, but normal people didn't want to do it, right? And the guy says, you know, you're not going to be able to use that finger. I said, so cut it off. It's already cut off. Cut it off. You know, if I'm not going to be able to use it, why? And he said, because we can't do that. If I can save it, I got to save it. I said, why? He said, to tell you the truth, he said, well, we don't want you suing us, right? And he said, money. I cut it off or something. But he said, no, he said, we can't really, you can't ethically, I can't. So I said, will I ever be able to use it again? He said, no, probably not. So I actually got this finger cut by a little tiny parting tool, a mini parting tool that you use on, I use it on small spindles and stuff, a little tiny parting tool, shaped like that parting tool, very small, only maybe a quarter of an inch. And what happened was, I was working very close to the center. So what happened was I lost concentration for a minute and it crossed over and it got on the other side, and then it happened when it was on the other side. The particle came around like this, and my finger was under it. And it got me between the two arrests, and the sharp edges of the corners of the parting tool cut my finger. Alright? And now I can't bend this, so I can't use it. But he says, at least it'll look okay. Three operations, $41,000. Insurance. Well, I'm left-handed, so I can't really sign my name in this. I have to, you know, when you grow up, you need to have muscle memory, so you don't have to think about signing. Now I've got to think about signing because I have no feeling here. I have a feeling here. A little small tool can get you. The moral of that is it doesn't take a big tool to hurt you.
I have a question. I fell in love with a banana. What do you do with that?
The end is nothing but, you know, he was saying this before. Somebody said, oh, you mean Bob Padania? Oh, you mean a banana? And you said, no, a square scraper. This is square scraper. Oh, a banana is a square scraper. It's got an angle on the side. And all that does is keep it from, it clears the chips. It's easy to put in and take out. You can use it for pins. You can use it for pins. You can use it to square up the edges of the ends of the wood if you want to square it up real quick. John turned me on to some tools. What are those carbide tools that do the roughing tools? Harrison. You ever use a Harrison roughing tool? It's square and it's got a carbide tip on the end.
Otherwise.
Yeah, and that's about the same as the Badan, but it's much sharper, it stays sharper, it'll do more.
It's a little bit more straight.
Yeah, and it's much sharper. But a Badan is nothing but a square shape scraper with tape inside. I have one.
Yeah, like that one through around the edge, but
Yeah.
it's got a little bit around.
But a Badan won't cut on the sides, it'll only cut on the front.
I was a bit used to that by Bob Good.
Oh, yeah, yeah, he uses it. Yeah. In fact, I'm going up there. You need me to, you go up there all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm going up there on Monday, so if anybody has anything they want me to take up to them, I will. Yeah. So, any other questions?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, in general, if I wanted to buy tools, what brand should I buy?
Robert Sorby's a good tool. There's a lot of good tools out there. Don't buy a Sears tool. Don't buy tools from Harbor Freight. Don't buy tools from Northern America. Don't buy anything made in China.
All the tools from Craft Supply or Packard are good tools.
Good tools.
So, but there's no
Packard-
like
Packard.
difference between, okay, a Packard and a Sony, is it just a-
No, Packard sells name brands. They don't have their own.
They do it in their own.
Good quality, high-speed steel.
You know, I'm just wondering if there's, you know, it's like, well, these are real good, but you really should get this one because,
Well, the English tools seem to be better.
You can't beat Thompson Lake tools being made by that guy in
Made in the
Ohio,
United
made
States.
right here in America.
Or these tools that.
Thompson Lake tools, they hold that.
Yep. Anything, usually anything American, Japanese, or European is good.
okay.
Not Chinese. Don't buy
Yeah.
Chinese, Chinese tools. Don't buy anything at Harbor
And
Freight.
if it's very cheap,
Unless you want to just use it one time and throw it away.
I want to do it right this time.
Yeah.
What tool would you use if you've got to go deep inside the end ring?
What do you mean, hollowing tool?
Yeah,
Well, this company, Harrison, makes a hollowing tool also.
yeah.
It's got a gooseneck on it.
You make a long, big straight one now
Huh?
too. You make a big straight one now too.
Yeah, it's a straight one with a round cutter on it,
Yeah.
straight one with a square cutter on it.
They have an articulated arm system.
Sorry?
They have an articulated.
Hacksaw,
Oh, really?
Carl, do you still use a hook tool?
yes.
You know, we ought to have, hook tools hollow out better than anything.
Yeah, I think that's what leads.
Use a hook tool?
I have some, but I don't.
Well, if you're gonna do deep hollowing,
Yeah.
hook tools are the absolute best. And what it's like, what it's like is it's like a gouge on the end of a round handle. And it's turned, you know, you can't get, I stick my gouge in the hollow form because I grind the wheels way back so I don't get a catch. All right? You can do that just so much.
But you tend to lose control, as it
Yeah, a hook tool is mounted on a bar, and it actually looks just like a gouge, but it's on an angle this way. So you can go in and you can pull the shavings out of there like nobody's business, especially on end grain because, you know, when you go straight at the end grain, you're getting power, right? So if you're doing a hollow form and you drill a hole in it first, or maybe use a forstner bit on it first, it makes it easier. And you can go in and you can pull the shavings out because you're coming on the, once you get down in there, you're on the side grain.
right.
You're not hammering on the end grain. Hammering on the end grain is hard. If you can go in and then pull it out, it's straight one, for undercutting. If you get in and come out this way, you're on side grain. Going in that way, you're on the end grain.
I'm getting nowhere.
Yeah.
Very fast.
Yeah, right.
That hook, the hook tool from the guy in Canada, I can't think of his name.
Andre Martel.
Martel.
He-
They are great.
I have
Almost
two-
indestructible.
I have two of those. Mitch Wallach, does he still have those made, the hook tools made that he had before? He used to make hook tools, but they were cast, and they break off. If you got them caught the wrong way, they break off. But Andre Martel sells them, and they'll last forever. They either have a half-inch shaft, I think, 3/8 or 4/8.
3/8 and 4.
And he sells a handle if you want a handle. You gotta remember this. Small tools, small catches. Big tools, big catches. You gotta remember this. Yeah. No, but what I mean is, big tools can get you in trouble. It's better to take a little off at a time than try to hog it all out.
He told me that.
Huh?
Lee told me that.
Anything else? I explain better than I demonstrate.
You could, wait.
Hey Gary, is that a candle holder for the table?
Yeah, we could finish it.
What wood is that?
This is rosemary. Yeah, it's nasty. I'll finish it.
I'll say.
How late do we stay here?
No, we gotta be out of here.
Take it home.
So let's do the bring back. I don't know who had the little tub. Okay.
Does anybody else need to bring back to me?
Well, one last